Any comments? To open up for discussion.
I'll go. I love the composition, the balance of the dark on the left side and the very bright on the right side, the leading lines of the pavement or sidewalk or whatever it is in the building leading to the subject. It's a nice moment. There seems to be, even though you can't see the subject's eyes, nice contact with the photographer. And it may just be zoom and what happens to images, but it's a little bit too bright overall, but I love the general effect of it.
Anybody?
Can I say something?
Just chime in. Just chime in.
So a very nice photo on the left side. I'm going to give you what I think a standard judge at one of our competitions would say. Too much empty space on the right. And
just a little. I think that I kind of like the empty space, but not that much.
I'm just saying what judges will say. I've been pounded into me so many times. Crop it where you take out some of that, maybe about a third on the right. And because right now the person is kind of hanging out over there at the left when you want them to. You don't want the viewer to have to really swing their gaze way over there to see them. So that's my paraphrasing what a judge would say.
I think you have to have the empty space to balance the character.
Yes, Chris. Don't raise your. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was taking my hand. I was taking my hand and cropping.
Yeah.
And if you do that, I kind of like a little bit of a crop, not a lot. Like there's 3 main lines in the ground coming down towards him. And then the 4th one, I would crop that off probably and just come in a little bit. And there's still a bunch of negative space, but that way, that dark square in the upper middle would be more to the right edge. And so your eye would have something naturally to go to and then run back down the diagonal line back to him, and you'd have a nice circular action going on. But I was going to
ask whether we like that black square.
I like it, especially if you crop it from the right.
I think I think that it's a great photograph for this, and I'm going to go against our judges, or what Daryl said our judges would say, because as you guys know, I love that negative space. I love photographs where people are peeking out of the corner. So I don't have much problems with that at all. I think I've tried to take many of these kind of photographs, mostly in Latin American countries, but in any country where people sit out on their stoops. And this I would have guessed this is a Mark McElhaney original right here.
Yeah, me too.
It's a nice image.
Yeah.
Mark, can I supplement my first comment? I agree with cropping a little bit on the right, but for another reason, in that one dark brick on the lower right really tends to draw my eye, and cropping a bit would get rid of that, and that would emphasize the negative space even more, and I think make it more effective.
I think that's a good comment.
This is Rue. I have a comment. I think it's a great image of the subject there. I mean, it's a really wonderful picture of that man. I would maybe have stood a little differently or cropped it differently, add a little bit more on the left, and also possibly go back more so that you have more height to the picture. So he's actually, closer to the lower left corner, not too much, but I would add a little bit more on the top. The lightness, I'm looking on my TV. That's how I'm viewing the image. It doesn't look particularly like it's blown out, and I don't mind that lightness at all, or the little artifacts of the dark brick or anything like that. But I think you could reposition him a little bit differently if you but I don't know where you were when you took the shot. So, but it's a great picture of that man. It really is.
It's a very contemplated look on his face, isn't it? And the big glasses really make it too. I like. Yeah,
I like the guy, and actually, I really like the tonality. You can really get into the shadows and the brights on the man. Actually, the tonality overall, I think, is pretty good. I like it.
All right, folks, we're out of time on that one, so let me go on to the next one. Great comments. Well, hold on one second. Let me figure out why my. There we go. All right, this is from Daryl Neal. Another day at the office. What do you think?
First, I have to tell you, didn't get anywhere with the judge, but I like it.
I've got some suggestions later about what'll make a judge love that. Go ahead, though, folks. I have my own ideas.
To me, I'd like to see the background blurred. It's a little busy.
Yeah, I think either blurring it or darkening it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what the judge critiqued.
Daryl, I believe that you've got a great photograph here. The shape of, if you just take this woman and her dog and just look at that, that's a wonderful shape. I mean, the whole triangles thing, and I mean, the shape, the way she's looking and the dog and all of that, it's just so damn busy. And this is probably the reason I do black and white. If you were to convert this to black and white, and then just start taking care of all the background stuff. I mean, because the color is as distracting as anything else, all the colors. Yeah, if you were to take them and take all those whites and darken them and then take the desk and lighten it and selectively treat each one of those areas in a way that just pulls it back and pulls her forward in the dog and keep the dog's reflection there somehow. But I think this is a great photograph, and it's all because, again, the only reason if it's not, it's because there's just too much other stuff going on that I think you can deal with.
Yeah, and some of that stuff is very bright, like that white pad of paper, the white bag, the white sign, and there's a lot of distracting objects that are pulling you away from great shot of her and the dog.
You try to.
I'll ditto. Sorry, Rube, go ahead.
Yeah, I think she's a little too centered, and I think her face and the dog are great. And I don't know if you could crop it so that you actually have more close up of her.
Actually, that's a wonderful idea, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
To reemphasize what Mark was saying about the color being distracting, bright colors are more distracting. And what my eye keeps going to is it looks like the yellow mustard bottle and the kind of, I don't know, dark teal, whatever that fabric is in the upper left. And then the, reddish part of the fabric that's under her hand. My eye goes back and forth between those two things and almost ignores her. So I think black and white is the way to go. And as other folks have said, de-emphasize the background with blur and vignette so that your eye really travels between her face, the dog's face, and her hand. And that would make it much stronger, I think.
May I just briefly suggest that, you spend all that time on Photoshop trying to clean it up. I just reshoot it and put a mask on the dog if the dog can handle it, and you shoot it with a mask on the dog. Just a thought.
By the way, folks, I know a couple of people, at least on that last photo, put some comments on chat, and I'm not really paying attention to chat. So if I miss it, I apologize. But I think it's better if you can speak out, because again, I may miss that. And you know what? I just realized her mask. I mean, if you convert that to black and white and get rid of all that distractions, then you've got another kind of interesting features, her mask. And I didn't even notice that the first time.
That's interesting, because for me, the mask was what it was all about.
Oh, see, I didn't even see the mask.
May I say some? That is, whoever took this picture, you have to ask yourself, what is the subject? Why you are taking it? to me it's like it's not the posting or anything. It just didn't plan for, and it's like a street photography. And if you plan to take this kind of picture, you have to arrange the picture differently. It's not the problem of black and white or color, just a matter of composition. How are you going to do it? Okay.
I had that thought too of, you know, go ahead and take the time to say, hey, do you mind if I move this pad of paper out of the way? Or, you know.
Yeah.
Well, this was in Taos, New Mexico, and I was buying something in, there's a Western shop, and I was paying for it, and I looked and I said, hey, can I take your picture? And that's about as far as I got.
Why would you take the picture?
Oh, because I thought it was terrific. The dog, the mask.
Yes, because I was looking at the contrast between a creepy mask and the serenity of the dog.
Yeah.
And I was saying, wow, that's really an interesting, you know, juxtaposition of those two ideas.
Yeah.
But to me, the subject matter is good because it's obviously, even with a creepy mask, a very loving human toward her dog.
Right, right.
Folks, my alarm just went off, so we're going to next photograph. Thanks for your comments. Perfect. All right, this is Jim Harrison. I believe Jim entitled this Flowing. Is that correct, Jim?
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's a really nice abstract. I wouldn't do anything to it.
Me neither. That's a keeper.
I think that's really good, Jim.
Yeah, I
I like it.
can't do anything either.
Yeah.
May I ask what was the shutter speed of this guy? Maybe I'm guessing it's just maybe 5 seconds or 8 seconds. Is that right, Jim?
Hi, Boone. I'm trying to remember. It was closer to around a second. It wasn't a 5 second, because if you look at the bubble areas kind of below the rocks, if it was 5 seconds, that would be super smooth. It's around a second.
I would think so.
Jim, I think you're onto something here, because, you know, we've had a couple of good presentations recently on abstract photography, and it just really occurred to me looking at this particular photograph with all the waterfalls and rapid shots you've got. You have probably got so many shots like this buried in your other photographs, you know, that would make some really great abstract material, you know.
I don't know if you've tried fooling around with changing the orientation of it to see what you get with that, since it's an abstract. It might be kind of fun to see what the design looks like.
I did play with that, Rue. I actually flipped it horizontally, just because it kind of made your eye flow better, with the bright part above the rock in the upper left, and then coming down to the more detailed areas of the main flow between those two rocks on the center and right. So yeah, I thought it flowed better flipped like this.
I really like the green and the blue colors together. They're really so comforting and just beautiful combination. Did you do much to it, Photoshop wise?
Added a lot of contrast, mainly.
Repeating what a judge would say in this case, this seems to be my place. They love it. There are 3 rocks, not 2. They don't like 2.
I would consider, Jim, the only thing I would consider is on the upper left area there, that dark area, maybe darken it just a little bit more. You want a secondary, not primary, but just so that it balances out a little bit. It's just a small thing, but I just think either that, and I thought even about if you eliminated that whole left side, I mean, that whole left portion, you know, I mean, I think you've got this little S thing is really nice too. I mean, you can do so much with probably some of your work with water.
What I have you might do a little vignette treatment.
Well, to Mark's comment, I left the upper left fairly bright, but still with the detail in it, just to draw your eye in and make your eye flow around.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be darkened some. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Just a thought that is what would happen. I'm asking myself, it's a different time. Maybe you think to me it's a little bit. Maybe if you have more sunlight in it, reflecting to the rock, maybe the shade, the white balance is gonna be look differently. Ambient light is gonna be differently.
Pi Boone, this is when we were at Sweetwater Creek for that field trip last year. And this is one of the few places that looked really, really nice. I really increased the contrast by, darkening things a lot. And the two colors were blue and green. So, yeah, I'll give that some thought. I appreciate it.
Did you take a tripod with you when you did this, or did you handheld?
No, that's tripod. That was roughly a 1 second exposure. Like I said, I'll have to go check, but
you can't hold a camera for 1 second.
Not with as much scotch as I drink. No way.
I can't hold a camera for a 60th of a second.
Yeah, I know.
So Jim, if you do try a crop, I mean, I like this as it is, but there's maybe another picture here with a crop. I'm taking the top off, kind of, so you have just a little bit of edge in that green curve space there, and a little on the bottom. And if you had it vertical, you'd have kind of like a
I love the shape.
pattern.
Yeah, I love the shape of the green area, I guess, and it looks like a flamingo almost. It's just, I think it's very, very nice. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, time's up, guys. So next one. Thanks for the comments.
Thank you.
Great photograph. All right, this is Pi Boone. And I'm sorry I didn't catch the name, but
hey, we know each other for 5 years. You don't know how to pronounce my name?
I'm sorry.
I'm kidding you.
I never know if it's Pi Boone or Pay Boone. Maybe
Pi Boone, that's the correct.
Pi Boone. Okay, Pi Boone. I had it right the first time. All right, thanks. So what do you think, guys? Some comments?
Well, I think it's got a yellow cast. Is that intentional?
Yes.
It looks extremely saturated. I assume you oversaturated this?
No, it's not. This is what close to 90% of it, 95% of it, that color.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I have a problem with reds because they kind of lead.
Yeah, red's difficult to photograph sometimes because
Yeah.
it'll posterize and it doesn't look natural.
Yeah.
And to me, the focal point is the sticker. That's the most sharpest thing to me, is that the little pointy
the
whatever
thorn.
you call it.
Yeah.
Thorn, thank you.
Oh, thorn. I was looking for a label.
Sticker. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
looking for a sticker.
Sorry.
Pi
Yeah,
Boone. I love the flow from lower left to upper right of the three branches, and to my mind, I think that's a strong part of the photo. I see a really good photograph in here. I like that sharp thorn. I like the sharpness in that blossom that's on the branch closest to the thorn. And I like everything else being out of focus. I think there's just too much and it's a little too busy. And I'm cropping right now from the left, that first out of focus bloom, just crop that out. And from the bottom, those first two blooms until you're really left with
two branches.
Two branches. And then I see a really nice composition, and my eye focuses to the sharp flower and the sharp thorn, and those are balanced by the unsharp flower and the unsharp, I guess, leaves, the green part in the upper right, and I like it. I hear what people are saying, that the reds seem oversaturated, but to me, that's the part of the image that I see that I really like and I really love.
Let me summarize what you said. You said to take the bottom part of the branch out. What are you saying? Crop that out?
Yeah, crop all the way up until you get that, or left with just that first flower on the left that's facing you.
Okay.
And then from the left, same
Okay.
thing to that same flower.
How about that green?
Yeah,
like the
had
green.
the
I
same
think the
question.
judges would say take the green out or
Take the green
tone
out.
it down.
No.
Totally
Yeah,
disagree.
that's the
Totally
whole
disagree.
point. I confuse most of the time with what people see. Okay, the reason I submit this is because of Mark. He's a street photographer, and everything has to be sharp, and everything, most of our club members most of the time concentrate on sharpness of the picture. There's no artistic or anything. That's why I submitted for that reason.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Baboon.
I like green. That's my personal.
Baboon.
The reason you have to wait until what people take picture, why they're taking it.
I agree with
Okay.
Baboon.
Hey, Baboon.
And why you like it? Why not? Okay.
Yeah.
And well, I'm just trying to present that people have different opinion how they see things.
Baboon, I see your point. I think you make a good point. I think this flower lends itself to an artistic, creative aspect of photography that maybe some flowers don't. What I would think about trying, in addition to this, is getting a macro lens if you don't have one, I don't know, and zooming and doing a macro shot of that beautiful red flower in the middle that you see, and that could create a really cool, almost creative photograph, even though it's fully transparent. I think that has some real possibilities, a macro image of that.
I have a comment and a suggestion. The comment
Just a thought.
already mentioned is that apparently digital camera sensors have a big problem with the color red.
Definitely.
I've even seen reviews where they'll say, this camera is half decent in photographing red. But I've had that problem ever since I started working with the things.
Yeah, me
The
too.
suggestion is a cropping one. How about crop off the top third horizontally and the bottom third horizontally? The green is gone, and what you've got is an image emerging from left to right that becomes increasingly sharp until it gets up to the thorn.
That's another good
The
possibility. That's a
thorn
good
is
one.
the sharpest part of the whole picture. Now, this is not going along with Payboon's artistic view, but I do think it will work.
I like that idea, Daryl.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Thank you for the comments. Next image. Michael Burris. A Michael Burris photo. If you've ever been to Michael's website, you'll see why I say this is a Michael Burris special.
Are we seeing the whole image here? Are there feet on the image on the person? Because my start video mute thing is covering the bottom part up, I think.
There are feet.
I think it is it Jesus walking below the Golden Gate Bridge?
No, this is actually in Portugal. Let's see, April 25th bridge.
Well, it's
and I did have
walking in Portugal on the water.
Well, no, those are actually bricks.
Bricks? Oh,
yeah. Mike,
now I understand.
I've heard that comment before.
Yeah.
And one of the things I did, because of the perspective that I was at, and I'm only so tall, and I was sitting in the rain waiting for somebody to come by, and they never did. So the perspective that I had to use didn't have much of a foreground at all, because I wanted to get more of the upper bridge.
Right.
So what I had to do is I had to add a road of some kind that would fit with Portugal. And I understand, because it's so, I guess it's so contrasty, that road with the sun bearing down on it, that it looks like water.
The roads in Portugal are brick?
Everything is brick.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful photograph, really beautiful.
Now, I gotta ask, is it a composite?
It is a composite. Like I said, I was waiting for somebody to walk underneath.
They didn't show up.
They would have to walk underneath with an umbrella.
Well,
so I after waiting under under that area, which didn't have any cover and it was like drizzly, I decided, screw it. I'm just going to take pictures of people walking around with umbrellas, because at that time, Lisbon was always drizzly.
Yeah.
So I just spent the next 2 or 3 hours, taking pictures with umbrellas, of people with umbrellas. I think I have a better one.
I will spare you from my trademark rant against composites, but I know it's a losing proposition.
Michael, let me ask you a question. So are you saying that the pavement was not placed in there, that was next to the water? I mean, you're not saying that, are you?
No, what I'm saying, actually, if you look at the original, there's like, it's unbelievable that there's no safeguards, there's no rail there, because there's a marina nearby with shops and restaurants and so forth, but there's no guard, there's no railing. As soon as you walk maybe a foot beyond where I was, there was nothing but rocks, and you'd fall down into the rocks and into the river, which I really didn't want to do because I was uncomfortable enough as it was. So I needed to figure out some way of getting a foreground in there with actually, something to stand on. And, you're right. It looks like water, and I got to figure that one out.
Well, I'll tell you my thoughts of it, Michael, for what it's worth. Is I've been to your website, and you do this really, and anybody's ever interested in Michael's work, it's really fabulous, because he'll do these contradictory elements. He'll put them together in ways that are very fun, and you look at them, you go, wow, that's really neat. On this one, though, I mean, by the way, the composition's perfect. I mean, the where you placed everything is perfect. Though this one, it's almost like too close to reality, and I couldn't figure out what you were doing. And I spent all this time, kind of like Daryl and others have here, trying to figure out, well, wait a minute, is he walking there? Is he not walking there? Is he walking on water? And so all your other photos are fantasy, and it's clear they're fantasy. This one's it's not real clear. And so to me, it's kind of left people wondering, well, what is he doing here? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I'm trying to do more than one thing. I like the fantasy stuff. I like the surreal stuff. I like the abstract stuff. But I think somebody was intimating that it lets the out of camera kind of thing go away. You forget about composition in the camera, which when you try to composite something, if you don't have the composition right in the camera, it's very, very difficult to composite, because you got to move things around, and then you get halos, and it's ugly, and it gets muddy in places. So I just wanted to do some more real kinds of things. If that makes sense.
May I suggest briefly that
quick thoughts, Michael?
Go ahead.
I think I started first, Mike, but you.
It doesn't matter.
After me.
I'm fine.
Golly, I love the composition, and I love the mood and the fog and everything. To make it more believable, that area around the lady with the umbrella's feet, there's some dark areas, and that just doesn't fit with where the light is coming from.
I know. Well, yeah.
Anyway, I have one more thing.
Okay.
And the other is, and this is a take it or leave it one. Some people prefer with an architectural thing like this to have like the pier for the bridge to be vertical or more vertical than it is, but that's a take it or leave it.
Oh, so I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Those are my two thoughts. The lighting and shadows have to be consistent with where that light is coming from behind the bridge and down at her feet. That to me, it's not consistent. But it took me a couple minutes of looking at it to notice that. Most people aren't going to notice that. I love the image though.
On a day like that, there's not much of a shadow anyway, but I need to, because I faked the road or the pavement, unless I had something that made her look like she was actually there, like a shadow, I've been lost. So I was trying to figure out what to do. So I made them different sizes and different textures and blurs and so forth. And I guess this is the best one I could come up with.
It's beautiful as is. Those are just a couple of suggestions to make it stronger.
Perfect composition. Yeah. Anybody else? And by the way, Michael, I would love to know more about your work. I'm looking forward to you giving a talk sometime, because again, you do some very interesting things.
Well, thank you, Michael.
Yeah. All right, folks, let me go to the next one. Thank you for coming. This is Mike Schaefer, and it is, I believe, Sunset in Prague, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Comments?
I like this. This looks like it could be a cover of a heavy metal band album. This is cool. I love the
I don't have much to
colors.
say. It's terrific.
The colors really work well together. The purplish dark with that peachy, light. Really cool.
I can think of what a critique would be, though, but again, the judge. That big black blob in the lower left.
Well, that's a stat.
If you crop the left, you lose.
That's a statue, but this is a transparent photograph, so it's as is pretty much. So I'm not going to get rid of it, but I see the point. But
you mean it was from film?
Oh yeah, this was taken in 1992.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's an interesting story behind this photograph that I saw a gentleman shooting it, so I didn't find the composition. I found someone shooting it. He had a ton of equipment on him. He was working for National Geographic, shooting Prague, because in 1992 Prague was kind of a new discovery, if you will, when the communists when Czech fell and got out of the Soviet satellite area. And so several months later, guess what appeared? Shot very similar to this, appeared in National Geographic because he was shooting it. But his is better than mine, so it's always like that. But I loved his choice of composition, so he gets the credit for this composition.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's. I previously they mentioned the colors, and I really like the colors. I mean,
I don't like to push colors, and so this is pretty much what I remember seeing visual is as close as I just don't like pushing colors unless there's a reason to do it.
Well, it's really nice.
It doesn't seem pushed. It's wonderful.
It's gentle to the eye, so that's but
So it might be a color profile too if you took it on film. You said it was film?
Yeah. It was taken using I was Velvia 50. I didn't have a tripod, so I had to move a trash can over and make a makeshift tripod. So it's a wide angle lens. It's a 24 millimeter wide angle lens.
Yep, whatever that camera you just mentioned is, it's probably a filter in Instagram. If you want to take one of your pictures and run it through that, this would be a beautiful filter. This technique, really nice.
Thank you. Again, the composition credit goes to the gentleman who found it. So.
Good photograph, Mike.
Thank you.
As always. All right, let's go to the next one.
Well, Mark, how are we doing for how many do we have left?
Well, we are gone through one for each photographer who submitted, so we're going through their second ones now. So we're so far we've gone 35 minutes. So I'm assuming 10 more minutes. So
that'll be fine.
Okay, let's go 10 more minutes. All right.
Okay.
So this is Daryl, and we got to move a little more quickly. Bluebird,
Mark, why don't you skip it, because I know it's going to be said, and I've got another one if we can get to it. That's
okay. You want to go to your other one? All right. So this is Jim Harrison, Fern, Sunlit Fern. Comments?
I crop a little bit from the left. Cut a little bit of the left off.
Me too.
Just a little bit. Get rid of some of that dark side on the left side. That's about it. That's a good eye, Jim. Good eye for the light.
Jim, when I was looking at this, I kept feeling like it's a great photograph. Is there anything, there's maybe something missing? And I don't know, again, I don't know if this makes sense. You have a great, there's this great image of this fern, sunlit fern in the background, but I kind of see it as a secondary image. I was wondering, gosh, it'd be great if you had something there, and again, I don't know if this makes sense or not, on the lower right in front of that fern. If there was a big mushroom in front of that fern or something like that, you know what I mean? You know,
I'll have to borrow one of Gennaro's mushroom pictures and see if I can stick one in there.
Stick it in there.
Yeah.
But you know,
an umbrella.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't go for weird composites like that. So I go for reality, as you know.
I'll go back and put a mushroom in there. But you know, again, that's just for some reason I just felt like there needed to be this extra element there in the lower right. But again, that's just me. I don't as kind of a 3-layer as opposed to 2.
Maybe if you flipped it, just flip it the other way. Do you think that would work?
I can try that. I haven't tried it, but I will.
You may, in my previous comments, I'm not a big fan of putting things in images that were not present, but I don't have a problem with removing things. And in this case, that stick. Content aware, run on that stick.
And Daryl and I had a very interesting discussion the other day about the difference between putting something in and taking it out.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't think there's any difference, but
and we had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. I thought about removing the stick, Daryl, and I decided not to. And the reason I decided not to was because of the spider web that's also on the right.
But you know, that doesn't show up very strongly.
Yeah, I just
you really gotta.
I didn't notice it until now.
You gotta more or less. I mean, this is not a resolution where you can really notice that a lot. Anyway.
All right, I'm moving on, folks. So we
Jim, I'm glad you left the stick because nature is not perfect like we want it to be. So there you go.
Right.
All right, this is another Michael Burris. Comments.
I know it's blurry.
but it's purposefully blurry, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, actually, this is actually a photo singer in Lisbon, and I went there to try to. 50 years ago, I went to Portugal, and I went to a fado. I don't know if you've ever been to fado music, but it's actually a very melancholy, sexual or sensual occurrence. And there's usually just a guitar and what they have a Portuguese guitar, and those are the 3 instruments. And the woman just kind of wail. You know, it's not a wail. It's like a very melancholy. It's almost like, it's hard to describe. Anyway, I just thought it was beautiful. So when I went back this time, I just wanted to see if I could do some photo pictures.
Yeah.
And I sent
Michael.
Michael,
one thing I always tell people when evaluating a photograph, and I don't know if this is good or bad advice, but to look at it from all the way across the room, and then look at it from 3 or 4 feet away, and then, you know, a couple of feet away. Well, we're all at our monitors, which means we're a couple of feet away. And the further I get back from this one, if I lean back in the chair and scoot back a little bit, I like it more and more. It's not about the detail, like as you said, it's blurry.
I agree.
And wow, you're right, Jim. I'm scooching back. It's much better.
It's about the tones and the parallel lines that those tones make going from upper left to lower right, and you don't notice those until you move back a little bit. I like it. When I look at it from a long way away, I love it. But if I scoot up close to it, it's just, well, now that I've noticed those aspects, I like it more, and I see those aspects more when I get close. But it took me a while to notice, and it took me moving back to notice those things. So I like it. I love it. Good eye.
Michael, is it intentional camera movement?
No. Actually, initially I tried to get it so it would be blurry on purpose with their movement.
Yeah.
But they didn't move the right way, so the blur never went the right way. You know, the blur looked kind of crappy. So what I did then, and you got to understand the background. These places are very, very small, and the background is very brightly lit.
Oh.
So it would be it's you have to remove the background.
Folks, I hate to interrupt, but we're going to have to move forward a little bit. We got a couple more here, so sorry, but great photograph, Michael. I don't know why I like it, but I love it. It's great. It's a great photograph.
Thank you.
This is Darian Atkinson. I think it's A Quiet Place or something to that effect. Comments? And we have like one more after this, I believe.
Good leaning line. I'm not bothered by the fact that it goes straight to the center. I think the comment probably most would be made is it's kind of desaturated.
Yeah.
Can it be kicked up some?
Hey guys,
that's what I like about it, because it's called A Quiet Place, and it's like afternoon. It's a soft photograph, and that's why I like it. Is Darian kept it soft? You know, it looks like a tranquil, quiet afternoon.
It might be nice in sepia, the whole thing in sepia.
Mm-hmm.
You guys hear me?
I would try a mono and Schaefer mono, because it's about the light and dark, and the leading lines and the bilateral symmetry, and most of the people on the right and less on the left, and the light and dark. So,
is that Budapest?
Santo Domingo.
Oh wow, looks the same.
It clearly has the mood consistent with the title.
Have you tried the black and white with the high contrast and detail?
I did. To me, it didn't give me the same feeling.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great photograph, and again, that wide spectrum. I mean, you really feel the mood of the square. All right, next one, folks. Paboon. This is well, I don't know the title, but what do you think? We got one more after this. I'm sorry, I said there was one, but there's one. This is the last one.
I conclude Paboon likes saturated colors. Otherwise, I could see the critique probably centering on the top of the car down below, what a judge would go after. It is interesting.
I think a judge would say, show more or less of that.
Yeah.
That was my first thought, Paboon, is show less. Bring it in on either side, you know. I think you have some interesting cloud patterns there that get lost because it's so wide.
So chop down the car out at the bottom. Would it help?
I think not, Paboon. The crop I'm looking at is I'm distracted by those power poles on the right, lower right. So crop in until you just barely get to that tree. Crop in on the left until you get to the dark clouds. And then maybe it's a car top at the bottom.
So nothing left.
Well, no. Leave the car top in. It adds intrigue and lighting and balance to what you're seeing in the sky, and it looks unusual. It makes me wonder what it is that I'm seeing, and then I'm not distracted by those just that little bit on the two sides, and then it becomes a very interesting photograph, and my eye goes all the way around.
Let me summarize what you just said. Mm-hmm. Crop out on the right and left side. To me, I like it on the right side. I like the color of the sky.
Then remove the poles.
Yeah.
Put a tree over it.
Yeah.
Or something.
That's a possibility too.
Or just remove the poles. You know, just
content aware amount.
Content aware. You're right.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, folks, I'm going to move on because Elsie's going to get on me for running out of time here.
Okay.
Thanks,
Last
Mark.
one. This is Daryl. Forgot the name of it, Daryl, but it's he's seen his day or something like that.
I
Yeah,
like the
so this
angle
is
and the color.
I purposely put this in because it's an example of a kind of photo that whenever I put them into judges in competitions, they crash and burn. I find judges don't like things that are about the end and such, or Debbie Downer type pictures. I find judges have a hard time relating to those.
Hey, Daryl.
And that's what this is.
Daryl, just crop a little bit from the bottom, put it in a competition, and just see what the judge says for fun.
That could be fun, yes.
I think I would make it mysterious. I'd make it black and white, and I don't know, maybe some green, and make a square out of it.
I don't know. I love the colors. I think the colors just scream Halloween.
Well, that's what it was, but it's. I'll
just-
also be 76 this Sunday, and you get to that age, and you start thinking about these kind of things.
Daryl, my thoughts is that I love the Death and Decay, so I wish the pumpkin would have been a lot more rotten than it is. That would have been even better, because
I think I have one.
I don't think it's rotten enough that you get that part of it.
Well, you know what? He could have stood there like a couple more months.
That's right.
Yeah.
Until he got the right degree of rottenness.
Yeah. It's probably, and I would also stick in a Santa Claus hat that's all kind of torn up and all, and maybe an empty box of Valentine's, candy or something, just to kind of, like the death of something.
Folks, may I just suggest, sorry, Jim, may I just suggest that, no, it's not a great photograph. It's never going to be. But hey, the context matters. Put this in a kid's house, in your home with kids in it, or something like that. They're going to love it. So that means it's a great photograph.
I think it'd make a great greeting card for Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Context matters.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, Elsie, turning it back over to you. Thanks, folks.
All right.
Great comments.
Thank you. Great job,
Good
Mark.
job,
Thank you
Mark.
for all the